Alright, time for another of what YouTube calls a low quality broadcast. Me reading about the Aegean Sea. So without any further ado, let's begin. The Aegean Sea is an elongated embayment of the Mediterranean Sea between Europe and Asia. It is located between the Balkans and Anatolia and covers an area of some 215,000 square kilometers. In the north, the Aegean is connected to the Marmara Sea and the Black Sea by the Straits of the Dardanelles and the Bosphorus. The Aegean Islands are located within the sea, and some bound it on its southern periphery, including Crete and Rhodes. The sea reaches a maximum depth of 3,500 meters to the east of Crete. The Thracian Sea and the Sea of Crete are main subdivisions of the Aegean Sea. And you really need to get consistent with my pronunciation here. I'll start with Aegean. Aegean. The Aegean Islands can be divided into several island groups, including the Dodecanese, the Cyclades, the Sporades, the Saronic Islands, and the North Aegean Islands, as well as Crete and its surrounding islands. The Dodecanese, located to the southeast, include the islands of Rhodes, Kos, and Patmos. The islands of Delos and Naxos are within the Cyclades to the south of the sea. Lesbos is part of the North Aegean Islands. Euboea, the second largest island in Greece, is located in the Aegean, despite being administered as part of central Greece. 9 out of 12 of the administrative regions of Greece border the sea, along with the Turkish provinces of Edirne, Çanakkale, Balıkesir, Izmir, Aydın, and Mugla to the east of the sea. Various Turkish islands in the sea are Imbros, Tenedos, Kunda Island, and the Fossa Islands. The Aegean Sea has been historically important, especially in regards to the civilization of ancient Greece, who inhabited the area around the coast of the Aegean and the Aegean Islands. The Aegean Islands facilitated contact between the people of the area and between Europe and Asia. Along with the Greeks, Thracians lived amongst the northern coast. The Romans conquered the area under the Roman Empire, and later the Byzantine Empire held against advances by the First Bulgarian Empire. The Fourth Crusade weakened Byzantine control of the area, and it was eventually conquered by the Ottoman Empire, with the exception of Crete, which was a Venetian colony until 1669. The Greek War of Independence allowed a Greek state on the coast of the Aegean from 1829 onwards. The Ottoman Empire held a presence over the sea for over 500 years until it was replaced by modern Turkey. The rocks making up the floor of the Aegean are mainly limestone, though often greatly altered by volcanic activity that has convulsed the region in relatively recent geologic times. Of particular interest are the richly colored sediments in the region of the islands of the Santorini and Milos in the southern Aegean. Notable cities on the Aegean coastline include Athens, Thessaloniki, Volos, Kavala, and Heraklion in Greece, and Izmir and Bodrum in Turkey. The Aegean Sea groundwater itself has a high salinity content, leading one to think that the soil would be infertile due to the volcanic region, but actually has an equilibrium of its soil content structure, making it able to grow fertile crops on land that would seem infertile. A number of issues concerning sovereignty within the Aegean Sea are disputed between Greece and Turkey. The Aegean dispute has had a very large effect on Greek-Turkish relations since the 70s. Issues include the delimitation of territorial waters, national airspace, exclusive economic zones, and flight information regions. Excuse me a moment while I take a gander at the map. Late Latin authors referred the name Aegaeus to Aegeus, who was said to have jumped into the sea to drown himself rather than throwing himself into the Athenian Acropolis, as told by some Greek authors. He was the father of Theseus, the mythical king and founder hero of Athens. Aegeus has told Theseus to put up white sails when returning if he was successful in killing the Minotaur. When Theseus returned, he forgot these instructions, and Aegeus, thinking his son to have died, then drowned himself in the sea. Here we see the extent of the Aegean Sea on the map of the Mediterranean Sea. The Aegean Sea is an elongated embayment of the Mediterranean Sea and covers about 214,000 square kilometers, 83,000 square miles in area, measuring about 670 kilometers or 420 miles longitudinally and 390 kilometers or 240 miles latitudinally. The sea's maximum depth is 3,500 meters or 11,000 feet, located at a point east of Crete. The Aegean Islands are found within its waters, with the following islands delimiting the sea on the south, generally from west to east: Kythera, Antikythera, Crete, Kassos, Carpathos, and Rhodes. The Anatolian Peninsula marks the eastern boundary of the sea, while the Greek mainland marks the west. Several seas are contained within the Aegean Sea. The Thracian Sea is a section of the Aegean located to the north, the Icarian Sea to the east, the Maiotian Sea to the west, while the Sea of Crete is the southern section. The Greek regions that border the sea in alphabetical order are Attica, Central Greece, Central Macedonia, Crete, Eastern Macedonia and Thrace, Northern Aegean, Peloponnese, South Aegean, and Thessaly. The historical region of Macedonia also borders the sea to the north. The Aegean Islands, which almost all belong to Greece, can be divided into 7 groups. The northeastern Aegean Islands, which lie in the Thracian Sea, East Aegean Islands, or Euboea, Northern Sporades, Cyclades, Saronic Islands, or Argo-Saronic Islands, Dodecanese, or Southern Sporades, and Crete. Many of the Aegean Islands, or island chains, are geographically extensions of the mountains on the mainland. One chain extends across the sea to Kairos, another extends across to extends across Euboea to Samos, and a third extends across the Peloponnese and Crete to Rhodes, dividing the Aegean from the Mediterranean. The bays and gulfs of the Aegean, beginning at the south and moving clockwise, include on Crete the Mirabello, Amyros, Sauda, and Chania bays or gulfs. On the mainland, the Maiotian Sea to the west with the Argolic Gulf, the Saronic Gulf northwestward, the Petalese Gulf, which connects with the South Euboic Sea, which connects with the South Euboic Sea, the Pagasetic Gulf, which connects with the North Euboic Sea, the Thermian Gulf northwestward, the Chalkidi Peninsula, including Cassandra and the Synctic Gulfs, northward, the Strymonian Gulf and the Gulf of Kavala, and the rest are in Turkey. Saros Gulf, Edremit Gulf, Tkili Gulf, Gulf of Sendarli, Gulf of Izmir, Gulf of Kusadsi, Gulf of Kokova, Guluk Gulf, and the Guluk Gulf. Why is there no and there? That's annoying. The Aegean Sea is connected to the Sea of Marmara by the Dardanelles, also known from classical antiquity as the Hellespont. The Dardanelles are located to the northeast of the sea. It ultimately connects with the Black Sea through the Bosphorus Strait, upon which lies the city of Istanbul. The Dardanelles and the Bosphorus are known as the Turkish Straits. According to the International Hydrographic Organization, the limits of the Aegean Sea are as follows. On the south, a line running from Cape Aspro in Asia Minor to Kumburnu or Capo della Sabbia, the northeast extreme of the island of Rhodes, through the island to Cape Paranisi, the southwest point thereof, onto Vrontros Point in Scarpanto, through the island to Castello Point, the south extreme thereof, across to Cape Plaka, east extremity of Crete, through Crete to Agria Grabusa, the northwest extreme thereof, thence to Cape Apollitares in Antikythera Island, through the island of Sierra Rock off the northwest point, and across to Cape Thrakili in Kythera Island, though Kythera to the northwest point, or Cape Caravugia, and thence to Cape Santa Maria in the Morea. In the Dardanelles, a line joining Cum Cale and Cape Helles. We see a panoramic view of the Santorini caldera taken from Oia. Aegean surface water circulates in a counterclockwise gyre, with hypersilene Mediterranean water moving northward along the west coast of Turkey before being displaced by less dense Black Sea outflow. The dense Mediterranean water sinks below the Black Sea and flows to a depth of 23 to 30 meters, or 75 to 98 feet, then flows through the Dardanelles Strait and into the Sea of Marmara at velocities of 5 to 15 centimeters per second, or 2 to 6 inches per second. The Black Sea outflow moves westward along the northern Aegean Sea, then flows southwards along the east coast of Greece. The physical oceanography of the Aegean Sea is controlled mainly by the regional climate, the freshwater discharge from major rivers draining southeastern Europe, and the seasonal variations of the Black Sea surface water outflow through the Dardanelles Strait. Analysis of the Aegean during 1991-1992 revealed three distinct water masses. The Aegean Sea surface water, 40 to 50 meters or 130 to 160 feet thick veneer, with summer temperatures of 21 to 26 degrees Celsius and winter temperatures ranging from 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, in the north to 16 degrees Celsius or 61 degrees Fahrenheit in the south. Aegean Sea intermediate water extends from 40 to 50 meters to 200 to 300 meters, 660 to 980 feet, with temperatures ranging from 11 to 18 degrees Celsius. And Aegean Sea bottom water, occurring at depths below 500 to 1,000 meters with a very uniform temperature of 13 to 14 degrees Celsius and salinity 3.91 to 3.92%. The climate of the Aegean Sea largely reflects the climate of Greece and western Turkey, which is to say predominantly Mediterranean. According to the Köppen climate classification, most of the Aegean is classified as hot summer Mediterranean, with hotter and drier summers along with milder and wetter winters. However, high temperatures during summers are generally not quite as high as those in arid and semi-arid climates due to the presence of a large body of water. This is most predominant in the west and east coast of the Aegean and within the Aegean Islands. In the north of the Aegean Sea, the climate is instead classified as cold semi-arid, which feature cooler summers than hot summer Mediterranean climates. The Tesan winds are a dominant weather influence in the Aegean basin. Here you see traditional street in Lefkes, Paros, Greece. The table below lists climate conditions in some major Aegean cities. To the right here, we see a climate map of Greece. Most of the landmass surrounding the Aegean Sea is classified as CSA, with the northern region being BSK. The city of Alexandroupoli in January has a mean temperature of 8.4 degrees Celsius, 47.1 degrees Fahrenheit, and in July, a mean temperature of 30.1 degrees Celsius, 86.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Mean total rainfall in January, 60.4 millimeters, 2.38 inches, 6.8 days. In July, 17.6 millimeters, 0.69 inches, 2.5 days. Bodrum, a daily high in January, 15.1 degrees Celsius, or 59.2 degrees Fahrenheit. July, 34.2 degrees Celsius, 93.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Mean total rainfall in January, 91.5 millimeters, 3.6 inches, 10.1 days. In July, 1 millimeter, 0.04 inches. Oh, excuse me. I've gotten a little bit off track here. Mean total rainfall in January, 134.1 millimeters, 5.28 inches, 12.3 days. In July, 1.3 millimeters, 0.05 inches, 1.5 days. Heraclion, mean daily high in January of 15.2 degrees Fahrenheit or 59.4 degrees Celsius, 28.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 83.5 degrees Fahrenheit in July. Rainfall in January, 91.5 millimeters, 3.6 inches, 10.1 days. July, 1 millimeter, 0.04 inches, 0.1 days. Izmir, daily high, January, 12.4 Celsius, 54.3 Fahrenheit. July, 33.2 Celsius, 91.8 Fahrenheit. Mean rainfall, January, 132.7 millimeters, 5.22 inches, 12.86 days of rain. July, 1.7 millimeters, 0.07 inches, 0.4 days. Thessaloniki, January, daily high, 9.3 degrees Celsius, 48.7 degrees Fahrenheit. July, 32.5 degrees Celsius, 90.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Mean total rainfall, January, 35.2 millimeters, 1.39 inches, 8.8 days. July, 27.3 millimeters, 1.07 inches, 3.8 days. Numerous Greek and Turkish settlements are located along their mainland's coast, as well as on towns in the Aegean Islands. The largest cities are Athens and Thessaloniki in Greece and Izmir in Turkey. The most populated of the Aegean Islands is Crete, followed by Euboea and Rhodes. Greece has established several marine protected areas along its coast. According to the Network of Managers of Marine Protected Areas in the Mediterranean, or MEDPAN, 4 Greek MPAs are participating in the network. These include Alonissos Marine Park, while the Misologi Liko Lagoons and the island of Xanathos are not on the Aegean. The current coastline dates back to around 4000 BC. Before that time, at the peak of the last ice age about 18,000 years ago, sea levels everywhere were 130 meters lower, and there were large, well-watered coastal plains instead of much of the northern Aegean. When they were first occupied, the present-day islands, including Milos, with its important obsidian production, were probably still connected to the mainland. The present coastal arrangement appeared around 9,000 years ago, with post-ice age sea levels continuing to rise another 3,000 years after that. You see a female figure from Naxos, 2800 to 2300 BC. The subsequent Bronze Age civilizations of Greece and the Aegean Sea have given rise to the general term Aegean civilization. In ancient times, the sea was the birthplace of 2 ancient civilizations, the Minoans of Crete and the Mycenaeans of the Peloponnese. The Minoan civilization was a Bronze Age civilization on the island of Crete and other Aegean islands, flourishing from around 3000 to 1450 BC before a period of decline, finally ending at around 1100 BC. It represented the first advanced civilization in Europe, leaving behind massive building complexes, tools, stunning artwork, writing systems, and a massive network of trade. The Minoan period saw extensive trade between Crete, Aegean, and Mediterranean settlements, particularly the Near East. The most notable Minoan palace is that of Knossos, followed by that of Phaistos. The Mycenaean Greeks arose on the mainland, becoming the first advanced civilization in mainland Greece, which lasted from approximately 1600 to 1100 BC. It is believed that the site of Mycenae, which sits close to the Aegean coast, was the center of Mycenaean civilization. The Mycenaeans introduced several innovations in the field of engineering, architecture, and military infrastructure, while trade over vast areas of the Mediterranean, including the Aegean, was essential for the Mycenaean economy. Their syllabic script, the Linear B, offers the first written records of the Greek language, and their religion already includes several deities that can be found in the Olympic pantheon. Mycenaean Greece was dominated by a warrior elite society and consisted of a network of palace-centered states that developed rigid hierarchical, political, social, and economic systems. At the head of the society was the king known as the Wanax. The civilization of Mycenaean Greeks perished with the collapse of the Bronze Age culture in the eastern Mediterranean, to be followed by the so-called Greek Dark Ages. It is undetermined what caused the collapse of the Mycenaeans during the Greek Dark Ages. Writing in the Linear B script ceased, vital trade links were lost, and towns and villages were abandoned. The Archaic period followed the Greek Dark Ages in the 8th century BC. Greece became divided into small self-governing communities and adopted the Phoenician alphabet, modifying it to create the Greek alphabet. By the 6th century BC, several cities had emerged as dominant in Greek affairs: Athens, Sparta, Corinth, and Thebes, of which Athens, Sparta, and Corinth were closest to the Aegean Sea. Most of them had brought the surrounding rural areas and smaller towns under their control, and Athens and Corinth had become major maritime and mercantile powers as well. In the 8th and 7th centuries BC, many Greeks emigrated to form colonies in Magna Graecia, southern Italy, and Sicily, Asia Minor, and further afield. The Aegean Sea was the setting for one of the most pivotal naval engagements in history, when on September 20th, 480 BC, the Athenian fleet gained a decisive victory of the Persian fleet of the Xerxes II of Persia at the Battle of Salamis, thus ending any further attempt of Western expansion by the Achaemenid Empire. Here's a fleet of Athenian trireme. The Aegean Sea would later come to be under the control, albeit briefly, of the King of Macedonia. Philip II and his son, Alexander the Great, led a series of conquests that led not only to the unification of the Greek mainland and the control of the Aegean Sea under his rule, but also the destruction of the Achaemenid Empire. After Alexander the Great's death, his empire was divided among his generals. Cassander became king of the Hellenistic kingdom of Macedon, which held territory along the western coast of the Aegean, roughly corresponding to modern-day Greece. The kingdom of Lysimachus had control over the sea's eastern coast. Greece had entered the Hellenistic period. The Macedonian Wars were a series of conflicts fought by the Roman Republic and its Greek allies in the eastern Mediterranean against several different major Greek kingdoms. They resulted in Roman control or influence over the eastern Mediterranean basin, including the Aegean, in addition to their hegemony in the western Mediterranean after the Punic Wars. During Roman rule, the land around the Aegean Sea fell under the provinces of Achaia, Macedonia, Thracia, Asia, and Creta et Kyrenica, the island of Crete. Here's the Library of Celsus, a Roman structure and important seaport, Ephesus. The fall of the Western Roman Empire allowed its successor state, the Byzantine Empire, to continue Roman control over the Aegean Sea. However, the territory would later be threatened by the early Muslim conquests initiated by Muhammad in the 7th century. Although the Rashidun Caliphate did not manage to obtain land along the coast of the Aegean Sea, its conquests of the eastern Anatolian Peninsula, as well as Egypt, the Levant, and North Africa, left the Byzantine Empire weakened. The Umayyad Caliphate expanded the territorial gains of the Rashidun Caliphate, conquering much of North Africa, and threatened the Byzantine Empire's control of western Anatolia, where it meets the Aegean Sea. During the 820s, Crete was conquered by a group of Berbers, Andalusians exiles led by Abu Hafs Umar al-Ritishi, and it became an independent Islamic state. The Byzantine Empire launched a campaign that took most of the island back in 842 and 843, under Theokistos, but the reconquest was not completed and was soon reversed. Later attempts by the Byzantine Empire to recover the island were without success. For the approximately 135 years of its existence, the Emirate of Crete was one of the major foes of Byzantium. Crete commanded the sea lanes of the eastern Mediterranean and functioned as a forward base and haven for Muslim corsair fleets that ravaged the Byzantine-controlled shores of the Aegean Sea. Crete returned to Byzantine rule under Nikephoros Phokas, who launched a huge campaign against the Emirate of Crete in 960 to 961. Here we see the Emirate of Crete after early conquest of Arabs. Meanwhile, the Bulgarian Empire threatened Byzantine control of northern Greece and the Aegean coast to the south. Under Presian I and his successor Boris I, the Bulgarian Empire managed to obtain a small portion of the northern Aegean coast. Simeon I of Bulgaria led Bulgaria to its greatest territorial expansion and managed to conquer much of the northern and western coasts of the Aegean. The Byzantines later regained control. The Second Bulgarian Empire achieved similar success along again the northern and western coasts under Ivan Asen II of Bulgaria. The Seljuk Turks under the Seljuk Empire invaded the Byzantine Empire in 1068, from which they annexed almost all the territories of Anatolia, including the east coast of the Aegean Sea. During the reign of Alp Arslan, the second sultan of the Seljuk Empire, after the death of his successor, Malik Shah I, the empire was divided, and Malik Shah was succeeded in Anatolia by Kilij Arslan I, who founded the Sultanate of Rum. The Byzantines yet again recaptured the eastern coast of the Aegean. After Constantinople was occupied by Western European and Venetian forces during the Fourth Crusade, the area around the Aegean Sea was fragmented into multiple entities, including the Latin Empire, the Kingdom of Thessalonica, the Empire of Nicaea, the Principality of Achaia, and the Duchy of Athens. The Venetians created the maritime state of the Duchy of the Archipelago, which included all the Cyclades except Mykonos and Tinos. The Empire of Nicaea, a Byzantine rump state, managed to effect the recapture of Constantinople from the Latins in 1261 and defeat Epirus. Byzantine successes were not to last. The Ottomans would reconquer the area around the Aegean coast, but before the expansion, the Byzantine Empire had already been weakened from internal conflict. By the late 14th century, the Byzantine Empire had lost all control of the coast of the Aegean Sea and could exercise power around their capital, Constantinople. The Ottoman Empire then gained control of all the Aegean coast, with the exception of Crete, which was a Venetian colony until 1669. Here we see a 1528 map of the Aegean Sea by Turkish geographer Piri Reis. The Greek War of Independence allowed a Greek state on the coast of the Aegean from 1829 onward. The Ottoman Empire held a presence over the sea for over 500 years until its dissolution following World War I, when it was replaced by modern Turkey. During the war, Greece gained control over the area around the northern coast of the Aegean. By the 1930s, Greece and Turkey had about resumed their present-day borders. In the Italo-Turkish War of 1912, Italy captured the Dodecanese Islands and had occupied them since, reneging on the 1919 Venizelos-Tettoni Agreement to cede them to Greece. The Greco-Italian War took place from October 1940 to April 1941 as part of the Balkans campaign of World War II. The Italian war aim was to establish a Greek puppet state which would permit the Italian annexation of the Sporades and then the Cyclades Islands in the Aegean Sea to be administered as part of the Italian Aegean Islands. The German invasion resulted in the Axis occupation of Greece. The German troops evacuated Athens on October 12, 1944, and by the end of the month they had withdrawn from mainland Greece. Greece was then liberated by Allied troops. Here we see German tanks in Rhodes during World War II. Many of the islands in the Aegean have safe harbors and bays. In ancient times, navigation through the sea was easier than traveling across the rough terrain of the Greek mainland. and to some extent the coastal areas of Anatolia. Many islands are volcanic, and marble and iron are mined on other islands. The larger islands have some fertile valleys and plains. The Armenian king dynasty Achaemenids made one of the greatest highways in the ancient world. Its name was Royal Road. Its length was 2,400 kilometers, and it was situated between Persian Empire and the Aegean Sea. A part of the road passed by the southwest of Armenia, which gave an excellent opportunity to participate in international trading. Here you see the House of Cleopatra on Delos. Of the main islands of the Aegean Sea, 2 belong to Turkey: Bozkata or Tenedos, and Kokeseda or Imbros. The rest belong to Greece. Between the two countries, there are political disputes over several aspects of political control over the Aegean space, including the size of territorial waters, air control, and the delimitation of economic rights to the continental shelf. These issues are known as the Aegean dispute. Multiple ports are located along the Greek and Turkish coasts of the Aegean Sea. The port of Piraeus in Athens is the chief port in Greece, the largest passenger port in Europe, and the third largest in the world, servicing about 20 million passengers annually, with a throughput of 1.4 million TEUs. Piraeus is placed among the top 10 ports in container traffic in Europe and the top container port in the eastern Mediterranean. Piraeus is also the commercial hub of Greek shipping. Piraeus biannually acts as the focus for a major shipping convention known as Posidonia, which attracts marine industry professionals from all over the world. Piraeus is currently Greece's third busiest port in terms of tons of goods transported, behind Agioi, Theodori, and Thessaloniki. The central port serves ferry routes to almost every island in the eastern portion of Greece: the island of Crete, the Cyclades, the Dodecanese, and much of the northern and eastern Aegean Sea, while the western part of the port is used for cargo services. As of 2007, the port of Thessaloniki was the second largest container port in Greece after the port of Piraeus, making it one of the busiest ports in Greece. In 2007, the port of Thessaloniki handled 14.3 million tons of cargo and 222,000 TEUs. Palokia on the island of Salamis is a major passenger port. Fish are Greece's second largest agricultural export, and Greece has Europe's largest fishing fleet. Fish captured include sardines, mackerel, grouper, gray mullet, sea bass, and sea bream. There is a considerable difference between fish catches between the pelagic and demersal zones, with respect to pelagic fisheries. The catches from the northern, central, and southern Aegean Sea groupings are dominated respectively by anchovy, horse mackerels, and boops. For demersal fisheries, the catches from the northern and southern Aegean area groupings are dominated by gray mullets and pickerel, respectively. You see the walls of Troy. The industry has been impacted by the Great Recession. Overfishing and habitat destruction is also a concern, threatening grouper and sea bream populations, resulting in perhaps a 50% decline of fish catch. To address these concerns, Greek fishermen have been offered a compensation by the government. Although some species are defined as protected or threatened under EU legislation, several illegal species, such as the mollusks Pinna nobilis, Charonia tritonis, and Lithophaga, can be bought in restaurants and fish markets around Greece. The Aegean Islands within the Aegean Sea are significant tourist destinations. Tourism to the Aegean Islands contributes to a significant portion of tourism in Greece, especially since the second half of the 20th century. A total of 5 UNESCO World Heritage Sites are located in the Aegean Islands. These include the Monastery of St. John the Theologian and the Cave of the Apocalypse on Patmos. The Pythagorean and Herion of Samos and Samos, the Neamoni of Chios, the island of Delos, and the medieval city of Rhodes. Greece was one of the most visited countries in Europe and the world, with over 33 million visitors in 2018. The tourism industry around a quarter of Greece's gross domestic product. The islands of Santorini, Crete, Lesbos, Delos, and Mykonos are common tourist destinations. An estimated 2 million tourists visit Santorini annually. However, concerns relating to over-tourism have risen in recent years, such as issues of inadequate infrastructure and overcrowding. Alongside Greece, Turkey has also been successful in developing resort areas and attaching a large number of tourists, contributing to tourism in Turkey. The phrase blue cruise refers to recreational voyages along the Turkish Riviera, including across the Aegean. The ancient city of Troy, a World Heritage Site, is on the Turkish coast of the Aegean. Greece and Turkey both take part in the Blue Flag Beach Certification Program of the Foundation for Environmental Education. The certification is awarded for beaches and marinas meeting strict quality standards, including environmental protection, water quality, safety, and services criteria. As of 2015, the Blue Flag has been awarded to 395 beaches and 9 marinas in Greece. Southern Aegean beaches on the Turkish coast include Mugla, with 102 beaches awarded with the Blue Flag, along the Izmir and Aydın, who have 49 and 30 beaches awarded, respectively. Here we see the town of Mykonos, part of the Cyclades. And that is all for today. Thank you for listening with me. Goodbye.